Hello, Terri, and welcome to the World Vegan Travel Podcast. How are you?
Great, Bridie. How are you? It's great to
I
be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I am so excited to have you on the podcast to talk about Lake Tahoe. I absolutely love this place, and I can't wait to hear your perspective as somebody who spends a lot of time there. But before we get into the nitty-gritty with all of that, would you mind sharing with our listeners what it is that you do in the vegan space?
Well, I'm a whole food plant-based board certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I have a master's in nutrition. I used to see clients for private coaching, but not anymore. I see clients for one session only, which is more of a fix this thing. I've been trying it all and something's not working. Fix it. Give me 3 action steps and I can go on my way. And of course, I'll see people again, but I don't see them for like a flow through program anymore because I wrote this awesome book, which
Oh,
just came out 2025. So I wrote the book because I find that when people are transitioning, sometimes it takes them a long time. And when you've paid money and you only got 12 weeks or something, there's always this urgency to do, and people feel a lot of pressure. And then sometimes they don't manage to get as far as they want. They feel a little bit of a failure. So I thought, you know what? I'll give them the book. They can do it at their own pace. And then when they need help, they can ask me and they can come and speak to me. And I'm not locking anybody into some program. And I just find that certainly the people who are transitioning to a vegan lifestyle, locking people into programs doesn't work, I found. So that's why I wrote the book.
I loved seeing the book. It looks absolutely beautiful. But would you mind telling us the name of the book for people who are listening to the podcast just through their headphones?
Of course, the book is called Fabulous Health, A Simple Plan to Get Well and Stay Well. And it's available on Amazon all over the world. And if you're not an Amazon person and you do want to order it through a bookshop, I think, Bridie, you're going to have the ISBNs on your website so that people can just go to any bookshop, quote that number, and they'll be able to order the book for them.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on your new book. That is no small feat to create a book and have it published. And it just looks so beautiful from the cover as well. I'm sure it's going to help so many people.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm getting really good reviews from it, and not just from my friends, I'm happy to say. You get to sell a certain amount of books, and then all of a sudden people that you don't know have bought the book and they're giving you the reviews. And those reviews I value so much because it's people that have taken the time to spend the money and buy the book. I'm just so grateful to everybody that does that.
Of course, of course. I have never written a book that's been published, but I know some people that have, and they've written many books over the years, and it is quite a slog to market books these days. And a lot of the time, the onus is on the author to do most
Yes.
of that marketing. Yeah, it's not easy. Congratulations, even more. All right, so let's talk about our topic of Lake Tahoe, a place where you spend a lot of time. Like I mentioned, I have been to Lake Tahoe before. It was in the summertime. It was absolutely stunning and beautiful, but I think we were only there for two nights, and this was maybe a long time ago. Neither of us had ever been there before. We didn't really know it, so I'm really excited to learn what your position is and your recommendations about Lake Tahoe. So why don't we start with asking you, like, why is Lake Tahoe such a special place for you, and why do you think it's worth adding to a vegan traveler's bucket list?
Well, it is absolutely beautiful. It's so gorgeous. The water is the bluest water. The lake itself is 12 miles wide and 22 miles long. It splits right between Nevada and California. It's about 4 hours drive from San Francisco and about 8 hours drive from Las Vegas. But I wouldn't recommend the Las Vegas drive because between Las Vegas and here is just desert. It's very boring. It's a fantastic lake for summer activities and for winter activities. So the lake is surrounded by ski resorts and mountains. It's one of the deepest lakes in the world. I think it's like 1,700 feet deep. It's very cold. It never changes temperature. So even in the winter, it's the same temperature as the summer. So when you go swimming in it, the first, say, 10 centimeters, 4 inches of the water is respectably warm. And then everything under that is 15 degrees. And that's
So does
15 degrees Celsius. And so you see a lot of people when they're in Lake Tahoe, they're sitting in tubes, right? So their little butts are in the warm bit. And when you go skiing or wakeboarding or something like that, when you fall in, you're having so much fun, so it doesn't really matter. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous lake. So there's, in the winter, you can get 10, 15 feet of snow on the beach, you know, in the houses, in the streets, all around it, because the lake itself is at 6,000 feet. And the smallest mountain next to it is Diamond Peak, which is the mountain that I live on. And my house is at 7,000 feet. And I think the top of the mountain is 8.5, maybe 1,000 feet. And there's another mountain very close to it called Mount Rose. And that is about 12,000 feet. That's quite a high mountain. I think around Lake Tahoe, I could be wrong, but I think there's 7, 8, maybe 9 ski resorts. So you're spoilt for choice. And we live North Lake Tahoe, and I live on the ski resort, so I don't have to go anywhere if I want to ski. But if I did want to ski somewhere else, it's max 45 minutes drive somewhere else. So it's a great place to live.
Oh, sounds lovely. As somebody who lives close to Whistler and we go skiing as well, I know exactly the draw of, you know, being in a place in the mountains, especially if you love sports, winter sports, summer sports. It really does have so much. Absolutely. What are 3 things that maybe you would recommend that visitors must do if they have never been to Tahoe before?
First thing is get on the water. So however you can do that, whether that's a kayak, which is probably the least expensive thing to do, or buying a rubber tube from the supermarket for $18 and then go and float out there. You can do that as well. But if you can get on a boat, that would be awesome. There's a boat called the Sierra Cloud, which is a catamaran that handles 50 people at a time. It has a 2-hour cruise that goes around North Lake Tahoe, and they serve snacks. And a lot of the snacks are fruit. So as a vegan, you know, you get to eat fruit, and they have nuts as well. They have non-vegan things as well, cheese and crackers and stuff like that, but you can live without that, obviously. And they serve drinks as well. So they serve alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. And it's great for adults and families alike. And you just sit on the yacht and they play funky music and they just cruise around, and you get to see all the beautiful scenery from the lake. There are a lot of very opulent, expensive homes on the lake. So I would definitely say go on the lake. There are some tours of famous houses here, which I've never done. It's never been anything that's excited me because it's quite expensive. And you know what? I don't want to look at some old house for no reason when I could just kayak up to it and look at it from the outside. So that's enough for me. And then, of course, if you're an adventurer, you could do things like paragliding, or you can do wakeboarding, depending on your fitness level. So there are tons and tons of things to do on Lake Tahoe, whether it's summer or winter.
And what is the hiking like in Lake Tahoe and the surrounding areas? Because that's my shtick. I love to hike.
Hiking is fantastic because there are no mosquitoes. The humidity is very, very low, and we're very high. And I don't know why, but the mosquitoes just don't like it. So you can hike forever and there's no mosquitoes. There is a trail called the Pacific Crest Trail, and it goes from Mexico to Canada, and it comes right past Lake Tahoe. So you don't need to hike from Mexico to Canada. You can hike for like a kilometre or wherever at the Lake Tahoe bit. I think there's a app called All Trails, and I think you can see all the trails. I think it's worldwide, actually. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but you get this app and it tells you where all the trails are. And there are a lot of trails. In fact, most of them will take you from lake level up a hill so that you can get a vista of the lake, which is absolutely stunning. And a couple of years ago, Where I live in Incline Village, and the Incline Village community built a trail that runs from Incline Village to a beach called Sand Harbour. And I think it's 2.4 miles or something, but it's right on the water and it's beautifully paved. And you can take your dog and you can take your stroller and you can take your baby and all that. Because when you're hiking, sometimes you can't take your dog and you can't take your stroller. But this particular trail is beautiful and paved and it's right on the water. You can't dip your toes in, but it's just gorgeous. The views are, if you love scenery, Lake Tahoe is unbeatable.
Oh, that does sound very, very appealing. I'm curious, are there any dangers to be concerned about when you're hiking there? Is it a place where there is a lot of bears, for example, or any other dangers associated specific to Lake Tahoe?
I think to a lesser extent, mountain lions. I haven't heard of any mountain lion signings recently, but mostly bears. You always have to be careful of bears. Having said that, I was coming to Lake Tahoe for 10 years before I saw my first bear. And I was in the car and it was a while away, like it was miles away. So, but having said that, I've also walked my dogs down the street and had to turn around because there was a bear. So it's just the luck of the draw. And I would say I'd be grateful for seeing a bear, but as long as it was at a distance and the bear was doing its own thing and I could turn around and walk away, I'd be quite happy. But yeah, bears, unlike Australia, there's no poisonous snakes and things like that. I believe that only poisonous snake in America, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, is the rattlesnake. And I'm not sure that there are any in Lake Tahoe. So I think we're safe in that regard. I don't know whether you know anything about Australia, but everything will kill you, right? So I'm always thinking about spiders, centipedes, scorpions, snakes. So we're really safe here. You want to be careful that you don't fall off a cliff, right? Because it's mountainous and you want to stay to the trails and you want to be smart and you want to bring water and you want to tell people where you're going and all the things that you should do when you go for a hike. But other than that, I think it's quite safe.
What are the main sort of accommodation options that people can take advantage of? I can imagine like camping is probably a big thing, and or maybe there are some Airbnb restrictions. Maybe getting a vacation rental might not be possible. I know that local governments are really clamping down on Airbnb. I think we stayed in a little sort of resorty type of hotel when we were there, and that was quite nice. So what are the accommodation options?
So it depends on whether you're in California or Nevada. So as I mentioned in the beginning, Lake Tahoe is split right down the middle with California on one side and Nevada on the other side. So in Nevada, you're allowed to have Airbnbs. And in fact, I live in a condo complex with 100 condos. And the guy across the road has an Airbnb. He doesn't ever live in it himself. He just rents it out and people come for the weekend. And that's right here on the ski resort. So that's awesome. There are hotels. Like the Hyatt is here in Incline Village. There's another Hyatt in North Star, which is also a summer and winter area. It's not right on the lake, but it's a ski resort. Plus, it's really good for mountain biking. And in the summer, they do all the mountain biking stuff. That's great. If you go south, as far as I'm aware, you can't have Airbnbs in California. So down at a place called State Line, which is South Lake Tahoe, that's where you'll find your hotels. That's where your Marriott is. Also, right on the border of Nevada and California is where you find all the casinos. It's kind of like a little Las Vegas back in 1950. So it's not glitzy by any stretch of the imagination, but there are multi-story buildings. There used to be a Hard Rock there. I think they're pulling that down and building something else. I think that the more touristy section is down in the south. It's that State Line, which is on the border of California and Nevada.
Oh, that's really good to know. I didn't realize that Lake Tahoe was straddled both states. That's so interesting. So let's talk food. How vegan friendly is Lake Tahoe? Because sometimes resort towns are less than stellar when it comes to this. Whistler is definitely a place that I would say falls into this category. I mean, it's not like a vegan food desert, for example. Whistler is close to where I live. I will say that the falafel wrap is on the menu of so many restaurants, just like beyond a joke, in my opinion. So how is Lake Tahoe doing with vegan food options, generally speaking. And then maybe we'll talk about some real gems that you know about.
Well, I wish I could get a falafel. Yeah, no, look, it's not that bad. As a vegan, we're probably used to going somewhere and saying, what is the best I can find? There's lots of towns dotted around the lake. And in each one of those towns, you may find, if not a fully vegan restaurant, then you're going to find one that has lots of healthy vegan options. You're not going to be starving. You just need to be looking, maybe look at the Happy Cow, which, if people don't know what the Happy Cow is, it's an app for plant-based restaurants. And you just download it and you put where you are or where you're going, and it will give you a list of restaurants, and it's voted on by people who eat there. I'm a member and I vote on all my restaurants. So if you look me up, I'm in there saying, oh, I really like this, or I didn't like this, or this one should be removed from the app because it's got no vegan options. I'm not scared to say that something's not great because I want to help people. When you're going to a new town, you want the truth. You don't want to pack your kids in the car and drive somewhere and find out there's nothing for you to eat. You'll be lucky to find a totally vegan option, but usually you'll be able to find a vegetarian option that can be modified. And sometimes you will find a vegan option. I'm never starving. Yes, I have my own kitchen, and I think the best vegan restaurant in Lake Tahoe is in my home, which I'm sure we all feel that way. But I have found a few gems that I would go back to again and again. I live in North Lake Tahoe, and there's a Hyatt hotel here at Incline Village, and they're rebuilding it at the moment. So they're going to be putting in a brand new Nobu, which is not vegan, but Nobu has some really good vegan options. Yeah. So in case people don't know, Nobu is Japanese and he's a chef. And he has restaurants all over the world. I've eaten his restaurants in Tokyo, Melbourne, New York, Hong Kong, where else? Other places, right? Las Vegas. They're building a Nobu there. And you can get your futomaki and hosomaki, which is the little tiny sushi rolls. You can get those that are vegan. He does a beautiful spinach salad, which is to die for, and it's got little tiny, I don't know how they do this, Bridie, but they have little tiny slithers of lemon rind that are crispy, and it's just yummy. And all it is spinach and lemon rind and this dressing, and it's divine. And sometimes the simplest food is the best food. They also do a vegetable, like a stewy casserole thing. They do braised cauliflower. So there's tons of things at Nobu, even though it's a fish restaurant. And I know some vegans don't want to go to a restaurant that serves animals. That's fair enough, right? Because I remember once I was invited to lunch somewhere. I went to Melbourne, which is not Tahoe, obviously. And I hadn't seen these people for a really, really long time. And they said, we're all going to this lunch. And I looked at the menu and they served baby goat. And I said, I'm not going to that restaurant. I just will not. I just can't go to that restaurant. And then somebody said to me later on, so do you not walk into a supermarket then? Because supermarkets sell all the stuff that we don't eat. And I thought to myself, yes, that is correct. But in this instance, I didn't want to support a company that sold baby goats.
Yes. Yeah. It feels particularly confronting. And then I think your friend makes a good point about the supermarket comparison. I think that's interesting. If you have to smell it in really, really strongly, for some people, it can make you feel like nauseous. And you don't want to feel like that in a restaurant. I get your perspective. I get your friend's perspective too.
Yeah. So let me tell you some more places because I haven't actually told you any. But the Osteria Sierra is the name of the restaurant that's at the Hyatt that's open now. And the chef there, Shay, is a delightful man. There is nothing vegan on the menu at all. But you go in there and you say, Shay, I'm vegan. Please, can you make me something? And he comes up with the most amazing things. So the first time I went there, he came out and he had a chat to me and I told him and he said, oh, yeah, no problem. And I called him out afterwards. I said, you've got to put this on the menu. And it was a pasta dish, but the flavor was phenomenal. It's Italian. And every time I go there, he makes me something new and exciting off the menu.
Wow.
So that's that nobody knows about.
The name of that restaurant, can you tell us
it's
again?
It's called Osteria Sierra.
Osteria Sierra. Okay, we'll make sure
we
link that in the
excuse
show
my
notes.
Italian. Another favourite place of mine is Tania's Juice Bar in Incline Village. that has a ton of vegan options. She does juices, smoothies, Buddha bowls, wraps, burritos, all things like that. So really good if you go to the beach and you want stuff to take away. It's just a bar. It's not like you go out to dinner there. You just get your stuff and go. It's not flash, but the food's pretty good. Down south at State Line, I really like a place called Sprouts. Sprouts is kind of like a whole food cafe. And yes, they sell turkey sandwiches and they sell beef burritos, but they also do a ton of stuff that's vegan, and all their soups are vegan. So anytime you want a soup, it's always going to be vegan. So you don't have to worry about that. I order this thing called the volcano salad, and I swear, Bridie, it comes out like this. It is this big and this tall, and it's kind of like a Mexican salad. It's got rice, beans, lettuce, salsa, tomatoes, corn, sprouts, and corn chips in there if you want. It's really, really nice. I can never eat the whole thing. I can only eat half of it, and that's enough. And they do all sorts of sandwiches. You could do a vegan burrito or whatever. So I really like Sprouts. There is a place in Incline Village called Mofo's, which is pizza. And again, not vegan. They have an awesome salad bar, and it's a pick your own salad bar. So you pay $7.95 or some nothing amount, and you can pile your salad this high and get as much salad as you want. And it's got all the ingredients, not just limp lettuce and soggy tomatoes. It's got things like mushrooms and pineapple and 3 different types of legumes. So your kidney beans and chickpeas, and it's got cauliflower and broccoli. It's got all the things. And then you can choose your dressings, and you've got little toppings as well. So depending on whether or not you want seeds or nuts or croutons or whatever. So I really like that. I love salads, but I hate cutting them up, right? It's a pain in the butt to cut up a salad. And for $7 or $9 or however, not very many dollars, you can stuff yourself stupid with this yummy, yummy food, and it's not very expensive.
That is a real hack, I think, because I mean, that is very, very reasonably priced. And when I think about sometimes, Seb and I will go to Whole Foods if we're coming back from Vancouver, and we'll go to Whole Foods and we'll go to the salad bar for a dinner because we don't have anything in the house. And that salad bar can get very expensive very quickly.
Yes.
And I mean,
especially if you get like roasted potato or something, which is heavy because they do it by weight, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, this is just really great. And I don't know about you, but when I'm traveling, it's really hard. You have to make some effort to eat a lot of vegetables and fruits, etc. And I'm just thinking, wow, if you happen to be staying or close by to Mofo's, then once a day you could go in there and you could just have this really huge salad meal, knowing that, wow, I've hit a lot of my nutritional goals today. That's amazing.
That's true. And of course, it's a pizza place. So they make pizza. The pizzas aren't very cheap. I usually get a medium vegetarian, no cheese. And they used to look at us weird, but now they're used to it. They do use white flour. I'm not a fan of white flour. Even though I'm not gluten-free, white flour gives me a tummy ache. I do not know why. I think there's some kind of preservative or something in it. I'm not too sure. I much prefer to buy a whole wheat pizza base from the supermarket and top it with my own things. But of course, when you're traveling, sometimes you don't have the oven and you don't have the option to do that. But they will do you a pizza with veggies on it, and you just ask for extra veggies and no cheese, and it's yum.
Do you have any other recommendations for fun places for vegans to eat in Tahoe?
Yes, so next to Tahoe is the main city of Reno. It's 45 minutes away. But if you're coming from overseas, or even if you're coming from somewhere in America and you're flying, you're going to fly into Reno. That's where you fly into. So it's 45 minutes over the mountain to get to Lake Tahoe, and there's some awesome places in Reno. One of my favorite places to go is called Grateful Gardens. Again, not 100% vegan, but their whole marketing, we cater to everybody's diet, and it's all healthy, right? So if you're gluten-free, we cater to that. If you're whole food, we cater to that. If you're paleo, let's not go there. But all their soups are vegan, which is fantastic. And the guy that runs the place, he's called the Soup Man. and you can actually order his soups online and have them shipped to your house, and you can use them as a base for things. So while you're eating your dinner at Grateful Gardens, there's huge big screens, and he's on YouTube doing his YouTube videos about how you can use his soups to make other dishes at home, right? So it's a really good idea, because you're eating your dinner going, oh, I really like this. And here's this guy on the TV making something fantastic, right? And you're like, oh, I could do that. I'll take some of that home. They do kind of all day breakfast, not quite all day, but they do breakfast there, and then they do lunch and dinner, etc. And it's one of these American restaurants that has everything. So one of my favorite things to eat there is the frittata. The frittata comes out, it's like this big, and they use, I think, Just Egg, which is the vegan egg substitute. And then you can put in it whatever you want. So it's all a la carte, whatever it is that you want in it, it goes in. So you can customize it to make it yourself. They make their own kombucha, which is fantastic. They do great vegan tacos using cauliflower as the insides. So I really, really like Grateful Gardens. They do exceptional bowls: teriyaki bowl, Buddha bowl, Hawaiian bowl, Asian bowl. So really, really nice stuff. The other thing that I really like is a Thai restaurant. Thai is fantastic for vegans, because if you take the fish sauce out of Thai, it's awesome. It's fresh, it's healthy, it's tasty, it's yummy. And there's a Thai restaurant here in Incline Village called Thai Recipe, and they will make things vegan for me. So I go to that Thai restaurant often, and it's always fresh. It's always delicious. You can get things with tofu or without tofu, whatever you want. And they use brown rice too, because I like a bit of brown rice. So really, really happy with Thai Recipe in Incline Village. But getting in is impossible during the summer. We went there last night and I ordered takeaway, and it was an hour to wait for the takeaway.
Wow. Okay.
So come in the winter when there's less people. Get your takeaway in 20 minutes.
Amazing. Yeah. As I'm talking to you, I'm realizing that, it's really great to have the perspective of somebody who spends a lot of time there, or somebody who lives there, especially when a place isn't vegan friendly. Maybe the places that you're talking about are listed on Happy Cow, but I'm sure not all of them are.
Certainly Sprouts is, and I know Tania's Juice Bar is. There's a pasta place in the south called Gastromaniac. They make their own pasta, and their sauces are delightful, and they make their pasta without eggs. And if you're Italian, pasta and red sauce can be unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have any other recommendations?
There's a place South Lake again called Freshies, and it's Hawaiian. And when you think about Hawaiian, you often think of spam and pork and all the things that vegans do not want to eat. Yet they have a vegan menu, and they've got some really interesting vegan things using tofu. So I've only eaten there once, and I did like it. It was yummy. So I can't give you, it was a couple of years ago, I can't give you too much more information about that, but that is on Happy Cow.
Fabulous. Are they your top favorite?
They're my tops, yeah. Yeah, I forgot House of Mexica. So I love Mexican food. And normally I go to a Mexican restaurant in town called Lupita's. It's not on the menu, of course, but I order it anyway, which is vegetarian fajitas. And I order it with the black beans, because the refried beans have lard in them. So you've got to ask for that. And you can't eat the rice, because the rice has got chicken stock in it. You get the black beans, which are yummy. You get the fantastic salsa, which has all the flavor. And then you get the corn tortillas. There's a fully vegan Mexican restaurant. So it doesn't matter what you want, it's there, House of Mexico. I don't often get down there, and it's not on my way. So it's really easy to pop in there and have lunch or whatever and take somebody there. But House of Mexico is a little bit out of the way. I have been there once and I like the food. So fully vegan House of Mexico, Mexican restaurant in Reno. Look that one up.
Sounds fabulous. Sounds delicious. How about self-catering? Are there some good self-catering options in Lake Tahoe? I guess because there's lots of smaller towns around the edge of the lake. And that's actually a question that I want to ask you about, getting around to different places, but I'll ask that properly in a minute. So are there plenty of supermarkets? Do you need to have a car to access them? Are there some like fun farmers markets where you can maybe get some local produce, or maybe there's some like artisanal vegan cheese vendors? You never know.
Oh, I wish. Look, there's absolutely a farmers market in Incline Village. It runs from May to September. Remember, it snows. So we're in the summer, and there's a town called Sacramento, which is 2 hours south of Lake Tahoe, and that is considered the food bowl of America. That's where they grow all the veggies and all the fruits in Sacramento and all the nuts, the almond milk. Farmers from Sacramento come up to Incline Village and sell their peaches and their tomatoes, their nectarines, their pears and their berries and all that kind of stuff. And that's Thursday afternoons in Incline Village. I know that for a fact because it's there. There's one, I believe, in Tahoe City. Tahoe City's about an hour drive for me, maybe 45 minutes drive for me. I've not been to the Tahoe City one, but you could look that up if you were going to Tahoe City. There are supermarkets in all the towns. We have a huge supermarket here. If we drive 30, 40 minutes, we'll be able to get to a Whole Foods. There's a Safeway down the road as well. If you go to Reno, obviously it's a city. So you've got Sprouts, you've got Trader Joe's, you've got Whole Foods, you've got all the big supermarkets. But yeah, as far as getting around, you need a car unless you're going to stay where you are. So, for example, if you go to South Lake, which is where all the hotels are, you could probably get away with walking around, but your self-catering options would be minimized because the supermarket's like 2 or 3 miles away. But you could probably go to the corner store and buy bits and bobs and stuff. But I think most people, when they come to Lake Tahoe, they have a car.
Got it. From what I remember, a car is kind of important if you want to get anywhere anytime quickly. So yeah, unfortunately, Tahoe is not like Switzerland.
No.
Yet.
Well, there is this awesome thing here in Incline Village that the government have put together. It's called the TART, which stands for Tahoe Area Rapid Transport. And they run buses, so you could get a bus from here to there or whatever. But buses are problematic if you don't have time and you've got kids and you've got luggage and all that kind of stuff. But they also have a car service, which is, listen to this, free. So you get the app and then you say, I want to go to the supermarket. For example, I live in the mountain and I want to go to the supermarket, which is 3 miles away or 2 miles away. You book the car. It says, I'm going to be 25 minutes because it's never going to be here in 5 minutes. It's not an Uber. I'll be there in 25 minutes. And then it'll take you to the supermarket and it's free. And then you go to the supermarket and then you book the car again and it'll take another 20, 25 minutes to get to you. And it might drop somebody else off on the way. And that's okay. You can have a conversation with the other person in the car and then it'll take you home. And that's an awesome thing. Yeah. So that's really good, but it's very small area. So for example, if I'm in Incline Village and I want to go to South Lake, just forget about it. But I could probably catch a bus to do that. Look, when I was 20 and I was traveling around the world, who cares if it took me 2 hours to get somewhere, right? If it only cost me $2, I'm going to do it. Whereas now I'm older, I want to get from A to B in a hurry. I'm not going to waste my time with buses and things like that. But certainly if budget's an issue and time is not an issue, then there is a little bit of public transport. It's just you have to work it in for your schedule. And look, if you're going to go to the beach for the day, all you do is get the bus schedule and say, okay, I need to be at the bus stop at this time. And then when I go to the beach and I have fun, and then I need to come home, but the bus is leaving at X time and Y time, right? So it's not that difficult. But certainly if you want to go to random places, car is the go.
Especially like if you need to get to trailheads, for example, to do a big long trek. Usually there's not a bus to trailheads.
Exactly. And I have no experience with that whatsoever as far as catching public transport to a trailhead. I don't know how that would even work.
Works in Switzerland, but Switzerland is a little bit different with their public transport, of course. And of course, it's like hundreds of times bigger than Switzerland as well.
Yeah.
So, Terri, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Well Vegan Travel podcast and talking about Lake Tahoe. I really can't wait to come visit again, and hopefully you and I can go and have a coffee or something. That would be great. Before we say goodbye, would you mind sharing again your Instagram handles and all of those things so that our listeners might be able to buy your book or book your services or anything like that?
Thanks, Bridie. I really appreciate that. So the book is called Fabulous Health. Here's a picture of it if you are watching the video. There it is. A simple plan to get well and stay well. And it's available on Amazon, or if you live in America, you can get it on my website and I will sign it for you. So my website is fabuloushealth.net. So all my things are on my website. My Instagram handle's on there. My YouTube's on there. All the things are on there. Just go to fabuloushealth.net and you'll see all the little icons for all my socials there, and you can connect with me there. And of course, my email is there if anybody wants to ask me any questions.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Terri, and enjoy the rest of your summer in Lake Tahoe.
Thanks, Brodie. Thanks for having me.